Hello, I'm Fizzy.
And I'm Ycoms.
And welcome to our FisChris Underdog Squad highlights from AOR PC Split 1, Round 3 of Season 13 at China.
Ooh, very interesting track indeed for Round 3 here. Quickly, before we go into qualifying some strategy stuff, weather forecast was rain for the race, so we just went out, for the super soft tires. I think we would have done that anyway, maybe not you, because, it was not clear if you would get into the top 10 on the super soft, so you would have just stuck it on the super soft and see how you would go, but now that has been redeemed himself anyway, so I guess we are ready to go?
Yeah. So here we are then in the qualifying comparison. As you can see, both of us on the super soft tires, as Chris mentioned already. I wasn't really sure what to do with this qualifying because, yeah, as Chris said, I wasn't sure whether my pace would be good enough to get in the top 10. But since it's raining for the race anyway, super soft for both of us. And now we go through the first couple of corners. It's a super long right-hander for turn 1, immediately over to the slow left-hander for turn 2. Chris doing his lap right at the end of the section actually, which is interesting. I'm doing mine quite early on. And through the first sector split, Chris going purple actually at that stage, and Chris slightly ahead of me so far in the lap.
Yeah, he had a little bit of a better run through turn 6, went out into this sweeping middle sector, which I really like at this circuit really, and down to this tricky double left-hander, especially the traction out of there is very crucial not to hit the curb too much here on the right-hand side like I did there. The reasonable exit for both of us, and I think I extended my lead just a tiny bit in the middle sector as well, and again purple in the middle sector. Yeah,
definitely you had a much better line than me through turn 7 and 8, the high speed corners there, and that's why you're also now pulling up a bit of a gap going onto the straight. Obviously very difficult corner that one, modulating the throttle a lot, and then flat out for a long time, DRS opening as well, and then it's important to spot the braking points between the 150 and 100 meters aboard, and hitting the apex. Hopefully both of us can manage it, and that's looked pretty sweet. A bit of oversteer for you on the exit. I wasn't quite as aggressive on the throttle, but through the final corner we go. Berg keeps setting fastest lap on our screens, but what can Chris do as we come across the line? He was P6 there, I was P20 as I was doing my lap, and at the point we completed our laps actually, Chris was P1 and I was P2, but in the end Chris did get demoted by FabRacer, who took pole position, only 1/10 off. Damn, you were quite close there.
Yeah, definitely. I was annoyed at the last corner where I definitely lost almost a 10th, not quite a 10th, but I think front row lockout really good. I think for you as well, I think you set a PB in qualifying?
Yeah, I did, actually, I was quite happy to get into the top 10, because I wasn't really sure about my pace. It was very close as well in the midfield, obviously. What was it, the top, 16 within a second or something?
Wow.
So, anyway, it was close qualifying, and obviously in the rain, a bit of an unknown as well. We had luckily been doing a few wet practice laps before the race, not too many though. And as you can see on the strategy, it's going to be raining with light rain according to the weather forecast anyway for the whole race long. So intermediate tires for the start. You are taking fuel out of the car to make the car lighter, and you have to do less pushing on the wrist mix, which you can't really do much of anyway in the wet, whereas I forgot. I had planned to do it, but I forgot.
Yeah, I was also forgetting to remind you, because you said you probably would forget it, but
it's not something I usually do, actually.
Yeah, I think it's not such a big factor, I think, since tire wear shouldn't be such an issue, should be a 1-stop, maybe a 2-stop for thing, but we can see how it plans out. We're actually waiting for a car which is quite far back actually on the information up, so we have to wait a little bit. But here we go then, lights are coming on.
They are indeed. So the lights are out, and away we go for round 3. Nicky there in the Renault has had a really poor start. It's going to put me up 1 position already, and there's an incident ahead between Nuka and Berg already before we reach the first corner. And now Chris challenging FabRacer has run wide through the first corner, and you have already taken the lead, but you've given an illegal overtake thing there. Oh, it was briefly a yellow flag through the corner. That is really unfortunate, and at least for now you're going to keep the lead.
Yeah, well, I was just like, oh my god, I got so trolled by the game, really. It was like literally 2 seconds of yellow flags, so I thought, fuck it, just stay ahead, and try to pull a gap, and I will now have to deal with a penalty as you lost the position there to Nally, I think, but you're remaining the position in front of Ram. A little bit of sliding there, but it's, I think, no, the open lap is really about to fill into the car into these conditions and hope to get some consistency and yeah, hopefully not use any front wings like last week. There was a little bit of a double downshift for some reason, but nothing too much going on there as well.
Yeah, at least you control the slides. It's been a good start for us in the sense that we both gained actually I've gained 2 positions, you've gained 1 up from where we started. Not that you couldn't gain any more because you're leading the race, but obviously quite unlucky with that penalty. Yeah, game trolling, as you said, not much you could have really done. And obviously if you, since Fab Racer also dropped a position to Nick there, you would have to give him 2 spots up if you were to give that up. So yeah, tricky choice really, but you have to deal with that 5-second stop go now. But now you have to deal with Nick though, who is challenging you on the outside into the hairpin here on the first lap. You have to be really careful on the brakes, obviously first time in these conditions as well, in race fuel as well. Nick holding it around the outside there actually, not really much you could have done because you had to leave him space, and Nick be into the lead of the race, starting from P3 I believe, so you're getting very close to him out of the final corner. But let's see now if you can get the slipstream down towards turn 1, unless you don't want it. Oh.
Yeah, I just wanted to play it safe on the first lap, and then probably I think I was preferring actually to have the car in front of me for the first couple of laps to, you know, adapt braking points and see where her strengths and weaknesses are really, and then try to pull away later on in the stint if possible, you know. You never know how good these pace things are. But I think worth mentioning as well, this is one of my first ever wet races on the wheel on this game, you know. This shouldn't sound like an excuse, but you know, I didn't have too much but experience so far in the wet. But oh, it actually failed. I go running very wide here in the Force India, and yeah, got a pretty good traction out of that. And I think you're already past Fela as we go into turn 7. You left him a little bit of room there on the inside just in case, but you're up into P6, so pretty good.
Not such a bad start. Obviously Fela didn't quite see what initiated that, as now he's getting very close. Afro ahead of me as well now. But yeah, Fela coming back onto the track. He couldn't really get much power down on that curb on the outside, so yeah, pretty easy move for me, but I'll gladly take that one up to P6 as you are still trying to look at the back of that Ferrari ahead. Nick B sliding a little bit onto the straight now, and you just controlling, being quite cautious there as well. Up to a rich mix for the straight, and obviously tyre wear, something you have to keep an eye on. We don't really know going into this race how well the wet tires will wear, because we obviously haven't done, you know, a race stint on them before. As you go in a bit deep there at the hairpin, missing there is quite a lot, but you've not lost any positions, so that's good. Speaking of losing positions though, Afro nearly losing one to Nally a bit further down, but now as well getting very loose in the traction zone, so nothing doing on that for now. And as well, both of them hitting the curb as Nick beats as fast as after the race. I always try to avoid that curb on the outside of the final corner, because it's so hard. Really on any curb in these conditions especially, it's really hard to get a power down.
Yeah,
now Afro's running wide, yeah.
Afro running wide and losing 2 positions. I think it was not his first mistake, you know, as you're applying a little bit more throttle to just make sure that you are ahead coming into turn 3 and 4, and you've gained now 4 positions in 2 and a bit laps, so really good stuff for you as we're now skipping to the end of that lap, and Nally right in front of you going into the hairpin. No, it's actually fine, but Nally running a little bit deep. I was wondering if you would run deep here, but you didn't. And Nally having a very poor exit. You're having a slight look around the outside into the last corner. And you're actually braking later, but on the curb as well, that you just can't accelerate. And now Ram as well coming from behind. He's now having a look around the outside into turn 1.
Yeah, there's just no grip on that curb on the outside. That's exactly why I wanted to avoid it usually, but obviously outside of that I couldn't really avoid it, because I would have turned into him if I did. So now side by side with Ram through the first few corners, have to leave him room as well, trying to leave as little as I need to. But really, it's so hard to get the power down out here. I have to avoid the curb as well again. And unfortunately, Ram has managed to slip himself through to P5. So Ram as well having a really good start. I think he started just behind me on the grid, so he's getting even more positions. Having a really solid start. Was building on his 4th place from Bahrain.
He had a brilliant strategy back then, so really good for a race there. And he's continuing that. I think you're not too close. Oh my god, that's pretty late.
Oh, that's too close!
Oh, so lucky actually that you didn't lose any end plate there. To be honest, I was pretty surprised when I just saw that.
It was Ram's car as well that I lost my end plate on in Bahrain. So I would have been fuming with myself if I'd done that again. That was a bit too close for what I would have liked, but luckily got away with it this time.
Yep. Looking at the main map, you can see that just a little bit over, your POV though, as Nick runs a little bit different. I don't think you will have any chance here to overtake him, but it seems like that Nick, me and Fab Race have pulled the gap to P4, which is, I think, Nally at the moment. And it's like actually 4 to 5 seconds maybe even. So obviously we didn't battle too hard as well, so we just slipstreaming each other at the moment. Slipstream. That's going to be a topic towards the end of the race anyway. But,
spoilers!
But it seems like still a little bit fiddling around the throttles in some corners at least, as we're now on the straight on lap 7. And yeah, nowhere near Nick. I wasn't really, near to Nick anyway in these last couple of laps, but he runs
now you're gonna be there.
Into the hairpin, and that's going to give me the lead for the moment. Fabra is actually crucially going through as well. And now this is actually exactly what I have been waiting for, because now this is my chance, or this is probably my only chance if I want to have a chance towards the end of the race of actually winning this, because remember I still have this stop and go penalty which I have to serve in the pits, so I now really was pushing very, very hard to try to pull away.
Yeah, that's really all we can do. Missing Ebbers quite a bit there, but still maintaining the lead. Obviously, you have to take this opportunity as much as you can, really. Try and build. 5 seconds seems optimistic, really, considering the speed of Fab and Nick as well, but try at least as much as you can so that you can be at least close to them after the pit stops. But now, on lap number 9, I got Taylor right behind me, obviously the man who I overtook earlier from him running off the track, and he was, at this stage of the race, pressuring me quite a bit. I was just trying to stay focused, trying to really not make any small mistakes, because then he would have been right there on me, but I was kind of struggling a bit at this stage to keep up with Ram and Nally ahead, so at the moment really the focus is on Failure, as I'm running too deep as well in that corner. Failure still right behind, and now he might have a better run through this long corner as well with that wider entry. Let's see who controls the throttle the best, and luckily it seems like Failure has struggled a little bit more than me, so for now I'm keeping on to P6. Yeah,
crucially Nally and Ram have a little bit of a gap, but once we come into the pit stop phase, a little bit of a slide there, not really what I wanted, but you can't see it on the mini-map. I actually pulled a little bit of a gap, and in the background there is, I think, Fab going into bits, which if I remember correctly, it was
he pitted on lap 11 there,
yeah. And you're right behind actually Nally and Ram, who are now started to battling. I think it was actually one of the first attempts from Ram to get through, but break himself, and he's gonna lose that position once again. But you now caught up to them once again, so it's looking pretty good. Pretty close to the
Failure going into the pits behind, so that's an interesting one. Unsure how big the undercut obviously is on these tires and stuff, but I've noticed as well that Nick B went into the pits at the end of that lap also, so you're very lonely out in the lead at the moment with Fab and Nick both having pitted already.
Yeah, and I wasn't too bothered about the undercut, because I would have been in P3 anyway after the pit stop, so I think going for a little bit longer in the stint and hoping to have better tires towards the end is, I think, a good choice, as it seems like this will be definitely a one-stop race. You briefly saw a little bit over 50% here on your tires, but so that's not looking too bad. So you're getting very close to ramming in that hairpin. But it seems like you're actually going into pits now on the end of lap 13.
Follow them into the pits, not sure how good idea that was, because now I've got a massive glitch, full throttle, but it's not working. It's completely stuck, and I'm losing so much time on the pit entry there. The game just wouldn't let me get any power towards the speed limit there, and as you can see, Nally and Ram visibly pulled away a lot just on that few seconds, and Kalen actually caught up to me as well on the entry there. So those two guys are going out of the pits now, and I've been jumped by Kellen as well, so that's gone wrong.
Definitely. He lost at least, I don't know, 3 to 4 seconds there, and then also lost another position, and Fail, I think, undercut you as well, so that didn't really work out.
Fail undercut everyone in that train.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Must have been an amazing lap by him. 1 lap later, I'm going into the pit, making my stop, and see really where I will come out in comparison to Nick and FabRace. I don't think that anyone behind is close enough to jump me as well. At least I think so. I think the next car would be Fail, I think.
Yeah, that is probably right now, yeah, because Fail getting up to P4 with that jumping, as you now have to serve your 5 seconds in the box. Very, very frustrating, especially as Nick then says the fast lap of the race, just rub it in. And then let's see where you are then. There's Nick into turn 1, there's Fab into turn 1 as well. So you're definitely behind both of them, as we kind of knew you would be anyway. But at least, you know, there's that tiny bit of positivity in the sense that you at least will have a couple of laps fresher tires on both.
Yeah, definitely. And the gap is not too bad. I think the undercut was not that massive. If I remember correctly, I was not dropping off my lap times from previous from the early part of the stint too much, really. As you're still, you can see on the bottom left, you're still behind Kanon, as I'm now starting to get fastest laps, which I really should do now to put on the pressure from the guys ahead to just show, you know, I'm there, I'm not out of this race just yet.
Oh, I might be out of the track though, because that was not the way you do the final corner, as I'm just struggling to get the traction down because of that as well. So that was a couple of mistakes in 2 corners there for me, and that's dropped me away from Kalen, unfortunately, after pressuring him a little bit, but I wasn't really able to get close enough to Kalen anywhere to make a move. We're now on a lap 18, and you can see that you are visibly closing the gap on the 2 cars ahead, still away from, you know, slipstream range. But you have at least set another fastest lap of the race, so it's going well in terms of the pace at the moment.
Yeah, definitely, and yeah, I was definitely closing like 3 to 4 tenths. That's very late on the brakes from you, and way too late. And it's just once you lock up in the rain, that is just so difficult to control the car. You will just slide, especially over turn 6 and that hairpin, and that lost you a huge amount of time. Once again, even more time to Nally and. As we now skip to
run off the track. Interesting line.
Yeah, I was actually struggling to get too wide. I was definitely taking a wider line than Fab and Nick up ahead. I just noticed through the entirety of the race. But just in general, I had a little bit of problems running wide down. Didn't not touch the grass so far, but should be definitely wary of that. But now 8 laps to go, and it seems like that we have a 3-way battle on the hand for the lead, for the victory here, remembering that Fab has the oldest tyres out of everyone, then Nick up ahead with 2 laps.
Oh god, it's happened again.
It's happened again! Yeah, I'm not sure why I did that all the time. I was just missing the early apex there, I think in turn 1, just running wide.
Maybe using your dry turning point, and obviously a bit harder in the wet to get it turned in properly, but yeah, you're really getting... Obviously Fab is close in on Nick a little bit as well, and you close in on both of them, so it really is a 3-way scrap. Well, all you 3 really fast. And let's see now then, you were so close coming out of that corner, but what is this? Why is... you're not getting... What?
No slipstream at all. Maybe you know of the slipstream glitch. But basically, I think, I'm not sure who it was, I think Berg left it disconnected or something after he had a very bad race.
It's a few drivers out.
Yeah, and after that, I think it was at the start of the second stint here, basically slipstream was disabled. Everyone got a little bit desynced, I guess, as well. So no slipstream anymore for anyone, only the wings difference are making any changes in the actual, you know, straight line speed. And I knew after the race, I just knew that at least Nick had the same wings as we both had as well. So yeah. I will definitely not get anything on at least Nick B on the straight, as Fab is very close. I think Fab Race is now very eager to get through Nick here, because he's got the older tyres. He will drop off towards the end of the race, so he needs to make a move right now. Oh, that's close as well. To, you know, potentially get the win here. And maybe actually to mention the fuel as well, you're on plus half a lap and I'm on plus 4 laps. So I mean, you overfueled the car, but you actually now on better fuel target than I am at least.
That's crazy. That's crazy. But you're running lean much more than me.
Yep.
I for some reason I should probably run more lean in the wet, but it's like, oh my word, Cab. He's having a nice oversteer there, but yeah, I just like to keep it in standard for some reason through most corners, because that's kind of what I'm used to. And obviously on the big straights, I put it up the ridge as well. So I tried to at least make use of my fuel as much as I could. But you know, despite you running in lean quite a bit, obviously now on the straight, you put it up the ridge as well. You are obviously doing an awesome job to keep up with these guys at the moment. But you just see how much quicker Fab is on the straight, and I have to wonder if maybe he has to slipstream when you don't, or if he just is really much lower on the downforce. But now though,
the inside to the turn 6 on lap 25. It's actually the first time they're side by side here through the entirety of that second stint, and I think Nick still got the inside line into turn 7, and I think he's just about maintaining that position. Crucial for Nick to go, but he now around the outside again for Fab. That is even more difficult to go around the outside of a corner in the wet, really, as there's literally just no grip on the outside there. Amazing racing between those two guys, and now it's like so close between us three there, as you in the bottom left, you know, you're catching Nally again a little bit after your 2 offs you had, but you're running out of time a little bit as well, as I am as well, to be honest.
Yeah. Both of us in a bit of a chase that we kind of need a bit few more laps maybe. We'll see if we can manage to do something, but yeah, only 3.5 laps to go. You're struggling to actually get to the rich mixed fuel there, I noticed. And Fab is getting so close to Nick. Nick's surely going to have to go defensive, and he does indeed into the hairpin now. And can Fab go around the outside? He's going to try. Nick running off the apex a little bit as well, and Fab now being forced off the circuit. Nick also on the curb, and here comes you for maybe the lead of the race. Fab has dropped behind. Where is Nick? He's still side by side. He's side by side into the front corner, and you're going to be on the round the outside of move. I couldn't pull off earlier, and unfortunately, bit of wheel banging there means that you couldn't do it either. But you're going to get the slipstream away from Nick B, as Fab is now on the outside of you into the first corner.
Yeah, he's squeezing us a little bit because he knows exactly if I get the inside line here, he's probably very, very hard to him, but he's still stubborn. We have to leave him the room as little as possible to get better traction around the outside here. Oversteer moments everywhere, but I think the move for P2 is done here, and this Fab Racer goes for an almighty dive bomb into turn 6.
Oh, he just got in the middle there. That is great stuff, actually.
Just
giving him no chance. Yeah.
So 1 position gained and 1.5 laps to go. Everything can happen still, I guess.
I guess. Obviously, you still have a slight tire advantage on Nick, although both of you will probably have quite a bit of wear at this stage of the race, as I'm now, visibly closing in on Nally. Kalen also not too far ahead, actually. Is the battle for 6th between the 3 of us. I'm running in 8th at the moment, and you're nearly running at the back on Nick B now. Luckily, no front wing problems on that occasion. It's very crucial though for you to try and nail the traction here. Try and minimize the oversteer. And you've done a good job, to be honest. You're really close to Nick B, but obviously same wings on the cars, and you're not getting the slipstream effect that you normally would have gotten in that situation. So that's quite frustrating. As now I'm also getting very close to Nally, but you got to try to break Nick around the outside of the hairpin. That's very, very optimistic, but you got to try to get back instead. But you're a little bit too much oversteer. It's so hard to get the throttle down in that situation. We have to worry about the way the other car is as well.
And Nally had a very poor exit there onto the straight. It's like literally the same situation here. You have breaking Nally around the outside, and probably he's shutting the door there once again. So we're pretty much in the same boat here, really, on the last lap. Coming into the last lap, Nick going also defensive into turn 1 and 2. I was trying to get the inside line there, and this is really my goal now. Get the inside line for some of the corners, and just getting those tractions zones, nail a little bit of oversteer once again. But we are pretty close to Nick B now. He's again going round the outside once again into first gear, but no, too deep, and Nick having the inside line there. But it's just so hard. But
oh my god, he's lost it.
Has he? Oh, he hasn't.
Oh. What? Dear me, you must have thought there for a second that you had the lead of the race, but
I did.
Unfortunately, Nick lagged back into play, so that was unfortunate. As now we got Nally again defending, as there's a car off. There's failure again off the track in that corner, and he must have a puncture because he's going super slowly. So that's P7 for me. Despite not overtaking Nally, and there's front wing damage for you as you're now pushing, stroking Nick B through the corner there. And you only got this long straight to go. Now it's going to even be even harder for you to get the grip through this corner here. Can you do it?
No.
No. Not quite.
Just running wide, and I'm now weaving.
That's the frustration there. I can see it. I can feel it. That's unfortunate. So it looks like Nick B has to win at the moment. As Nally, though, running wide into this corner. I'm going to try to stick my nose underneath him here, actually, through the long right hand and try not to understeer. I know he's still got part of his car alongside, and that's a bit of contact, having to control the oversteer as a result of it as well. But it's going to be side by side with me for P6, actually, with Nally. I haven't made a proper overtake on track really all race, but finally got an opportunity as you're going to come home in P2. Not quite the win that you really kind of should maybe have had, but still a fantastic result for you. And I've luckily managed to nail the braking for the hairpin, and that is hopefully the move done on Nally if I can not mess up in this final corner. Kalen ahead has pulled away because of us battling, nice. And there we go. Yeah, Nally was very close, but he didn't quite get on the exit. So there we go. P2 and P6 for us, which isn't too bad. Certainly by far the best race of the season.
Oh, definitely. And, you know, not much on track and not actually many overtakes, but it was so intense all race long for both of us, I think. We were barely talking to each other, I think, all race long. When I was in Bahrain, it was like, you know, chatting all along. And that was just an amazing race to drive, really. And, yeah, very, very close stuff. A little bit, you know, had some unfortunate pit stops. But we recovered really, really well and made some decisive moves towards the end. And you can see the Drivers' Championship both moving up positions. Me and Fourth, you in 11th now. Yeah, so you've gone right up to P4 then. I can't remember exactly where you were after the previous round. That's a lot of positions gained, and you're only 4 behind Afra there in 3rd, who didn't score any points actually after his early problems in this race. Berg obviously dropping away off Nick B in the championship battle with his DNF as well, and I'm up to 11th from some position I was in. I can't remember that either. So that's, at least though in the constructor we were worked out the second highest scoring team today after Ferrari with 1st and 5th. We had 2nd and 6th for the second best score, so we're up from 8th to 4th, which is pretty decent effort. Yeah, definitely. We're also catching McLaren and Mercedes quite handily here, so I think Ferrari is going to be, like, not impossible, but, like, very hard. Very hard. Yeah. But I think, you know, we are in a battle for P2, maybe, potentially in the next couple of races, but obviously we have to get these performances like today here as well. Next race is going to be Spain. Well, I think we both are not too handy around that track, but you never know, really. What happens. You know, really, things that happened in the past doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen again in the future. But yeah, it's been a quite strugglesome track for me as well previously. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for this race around China. So obviously, this is the final race we do around China on F1 2016. The next time will be around China on F1 2017. So goodbye to that track, and goodbye to China in general. So for now, I will say goodbye, and thanks to you as well, Chris, again, for being awesome. No problem at all. I like doing that one. Well, so yeah, cheers for watching, everyone, and we'll see you again in Spain. Goodbye. Bye-bye.